Welcome to CAN TV 21 Hotline. Let's talk etiquette. Oh, I could say that for the rest of my life. I enjoy it just that much. But yet, here we are again, and I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Nathan Wright, and I'm the Executive Director of the Etiquette Foundation of Illinois. And on this very special show, I have a wonderful, wonderful co-host. As you may well know, this is Madam Georgia Selmon, etiquette maven extraordinary. Welcome, Georgia.
Well,
thank you for being with me once again.
And it is my pleasure to be here again.
Oh, well, I am so pleased to have this great lady as my co-host. I can't ask for anything better. And so I am so pleased that you're here and that we're going to have an awesome subject to talk about. And the reason for that is because we have a class we do. We actually have a class and we teach etiquette twice a week.
Yes.
To high school students. And these students are very special. We love them very much.
Yes.
But they're in alternative classes. They go to the alternative school because they have done something to violate the rules of the school. And so they've turned them over to us for 2 days a week for an hour each to see if we can help them become better citizens and, of course, better students so that they can go ahead with their education and do what all great people do, get wonderful educations. But as you well know, we're living at a time that's unlike any other time in our history. And so they have created this alternative school so they don't have to kick them out or suspend them, which I'm in support of that.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that? Because we didn't have that choice.
No, we did not. Not back in the day.
So what do you think about that?
I think it's a wonderful, wonderful program because it gives students an opportunity to get it straight, get it right.
Get it straight.
And
yes.
it's alternative is a smaller environment.
Yes.
And it gives them an opportunity to say, okay, I've done something and I need to fix it.
Yes.
And that's what the etiquette education is all about.
Yes.
That's where we come in and try to help correct some of that behavior that has caused them to come into the alternative. And we have quite a few discussions about why they ended up in the alternative program.
Right.
And they freely speak to us about that negative behavior.
Yes. And also, they quick to acknowledge the importance of what they're learning from us.
Yes.
And want to know why are we not in the regular schools? They ask that question almost every week. Some
Absolutely.
students, why aren't y'all over at the regular school teaching what you're teaching us?
Yes.
And it's such a really profound question.
Yes.
To have a 14 or 15-year-old ask us, why aren't we all over schools teaching all of the students etiquette?
Well, because they see the relevance of the subject.
Yes.
And they see the importance of what we're doing.
Yes.
So that makes all the difference. When they can see that we're talking about a conversation that involved them personally and directly.
Yes.
So they get excited about that and they want to express their thoughts. It gives them an opportunity to express how they actually feel about making mistakes.
Right.
And having an opportunity to find some strategies and some ways to not repeat those mistakes that had landed them into the alternative program.
Yes.
So that's one of the reasons why they get very excited about us being there and about the etiquette information that we share with them or train them.
Right. And the wonderful thing about our approach to the subject is that we actually really break it down. When you think about the word etiquette, it's like a foreign word. Who knows what it means? But because we're able to dissect it
Yes.
and fundamentally break it down into its component parts, now they're able to understand its relevance and how important it is in their thinking and in their behavior.
Yes.
And they are just really just enjoying our lessons. They look forward to us
Yes.
coming.
To the point where they say, why do you all have to leave so soon? Why can't you stay a little longer? And these are kids that's been, kicked out of the regular setting or traditional setting, and now have to serve what we call time,
Right,
in the alternative setting.
They've been suspended from regular society,
Yes.
and they put in a special society for those individuals who have misbehaved or violated the rules,
Yes.
and now they're being punished. And the punishment is to send them to alternative school, because basically they do not want to kick them all the way out, suspend them entirely where it would impact their education.
And I think that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
I think that's a good thing.
That's a great thing. And so part of the lessons that we're teaching of recent, I think this is last week and this week, we have been focusing on this thing called conflict resolution. And I know most of the audience have heard that term many, many times. But the way we dissect it, I think, is very unique and different.
Absolutely. I think you're so right, because inclusive of that topic, it includes rules.
Rules. Right.
Rules. And breaking the rules could end up in an alternative situation.
Yes.
Or something worse. So we talk about extreme, and we talk about not so extreme. Not so extreme is a few days, or we have a couple of students that's there from now until the first of next year.
Yes. Yes. That
So
punishment is
that
3 months, 4 months,
engaged-
5 months.
Yes, that included a fight, a physical fight.
Yes.
So the different reasons why they're there vary from student to student.
Yes.
But our subject and our lesson is to help them understand the importance of rules,
Yes.
not breaking rules,
Right.
and the consequences of breaking rules.
Yes. Yes.
How you resolve conflict with a peaceful resolution.
Yes. Without violating the rules. And in fact, we did a whole class on rules.
Yes.
The benefit of obeying the rules and the consequences, the liabilities of disobeying the rules.
Yes.
Because we wanted them to understand that there's a reason for that rule. The rule has importance, has significance. And in fact, we talked about the entire society. We live in a rule-based universe, a
Absolutely.
rule-based society.
Yes.
And I think I would maybe a little to the extreme in my explanation. This building is up here because the engineer followed the rules of weight loads.
Yes.
And then I used the comparison with the floor collapsing under the students that happened just recently.
Yes.
Which was a violation of the construction rules, obviously, for that floor to give away.
That's right.
So we wanted them to understand that there's benefit to rules, and then there are negative costs to disobeying those rules.
Yes.
And I thought your presentation was really right on the money about the benefits.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, we kind of explored the simple rules. Like driving. Driving. If you don't stop at a red light, and you are so whatever, and you cross that red light, then there's a camera up there that will record your driver's license and your vehicle going through that red light, and the consequence can be very extreme. It could be a $175 ticket. So, those are simple rules that we talked about. We talked about violating the rule of fighting in school.
Right.
And we asked the students, what are some of the rules in your school? And they said, well, the first rule is no fighting.
Right.
Why does that make sense? Because one can get hurt.
True.
One could, if you want to go extreme, one could not only get hurt, but one could get killed by a mere
Yes.
fight.
Yes.
So we talked about the extreme of consequences, and we talked about how and why we are governed by rules.
Yes.
And the students loved it.
Yes. Because they never had anyone explain it to them quite like that. And because we, I think, was very successful in explaining it, because we also talked about obeying the rules and the benefits that goes with those, with the benefit of obeying those rules, which can be wonderful. It could be in your employment, it could be in your marriage, in your relationship, and it has great rewards if you adhere to the rules.
Absolutely.
And you need to understand both aspects, both dimensions of it, in order to understand that it's in your best interest.
Yes.
Okay, what is in your best interest? Obeying the rules, because there are consequences, and we have people in prison today, and people are dead today because someone decided to disobey those rules. And so here, we know what I did. I brought actually a sample of the lesson that we used in the classroom.
Okay.
So I'm going to put some of this up just to give you an example of what it looked like to the student. So I go up here. I get a oh, there it goes. Then push down hard enough. So conflict is the first word we put in big bold type at the top of the lesson. And it says in small print, a disagreement or dispute that is perceived to violate the rules governing the social order. Okay? Now, the social order, we did go into that quite extensively. And because most of our young people do not really understand that term, the social order. What is the objective of keeping order? Okay, and why do we need to keep order in the society? And so we went into all kinds of examples. You gave some examples, I gave some examples about even having gas at the gas station. It required someone to commit to do that work so that gas will be there. To make the system, make the society function where we would have certain benefits in that system or society working under the social order, so that food would be in the grocery store. And you gave some great examples. Would you like to share some of those?
Well,
basically, we just shared it. Most of that was really kind of, ad-lib. We didn't have an actual script written for
exactly.
it. So it was, you gave some examples about just, family life. And when you have a great unity in the family, it benefits you. When everybody's obeying the rules,
exactly,
that are required to have a wholesome, happy family, then the benefit is in obeying the rules, because you're rewarded in many ways when you have a unity like the family that is really, in sync with one another. And,
I kind of mentioned some of the rules that the students may have at home.
Yes.
And one of the students said, well, I have a curfew. And I have a curfew that where I have to be in at a certain time. Another student said, well, I don't have a curfew. Right. I just respect the fact that I have to be in at a certain time. But my mom and my parents did not set a specific time, but out of respect for my parents.
Did say that, yes.
Out of respect for my parents, I know to be in at a reasonable hour.
Yes.
So I said, well, what about the curfew that's mandated by, the state?
Yes.
Kids under 18, I believe, have to be in during the week by 10:30. And one young lady said, well, that doesn't apply to me. We don't have that kind of rule.
Well, that rule in my home.
I said, well, do you go beyond during the week, the 10:30 standard,
required by law.
Required by law,
right.
Curfew. And she said, yes, she's in by that time, by 10:30. But she said her mom does not make such a big deal, doesn't require her to do that.
Right, yeah. And then that's good that this particular young lady acknowledged that she was willing to, on her own,
Yes.
adhere to the curfew, the state mandated curfew, because obviously she didn't go into it. Obviously, she understood that there were consequences
Yes.
for being stopped after hours and the police ask for your ID and you're underage and you're in violation. Technically, they can arrest you
Absolutely.
and then take you home or go to the police station, have your parent come and pick you up because you're in violation of the curfew. So apparently she was aware of that, but she didn't elaborate on it that much. But
Exactly.
she understood that she had to be home, not because her parent was insisting on it, but because the law was governing it.
Exactly.
So we are trying to give them an education in really how to think comprehensively and really how to understand their cause and effect. Okay, and if they can understand that, they'll be able to avoid a great many difficulties in life. And conflicts between two is one of the primary drivers of why we have so much disorder in the society and so much violence and criminality in the society.
Exactly.
So we can start with them at an early age, understanding the consequences, the benefits and the consequences, and then they'll be able to appreciate
Yes.
those rules that are here for all of us to benefit from, or to pay the price of disobeying those rules. So the next section of it was resolution. And here's what we wanted them to really appreciate. Would you like to take that first line there?
Sure. It says, give an example of how you would resolve a conflict. An example of how you would. And now, again, we ask the students these questions because we really want to engage them and we really want to get them to speak, talk, and discuss some of the conflicts and how they could have resolved that conflict or those conflicts with a resolution that would not end them up in a alternative situation.
Right.
And they all came up with something very, very positive.
I did. Amazing.
A resolution that was very positive. One young lady that was in there and from now until January said, well, if I had not hit the young lady that I hit that caused the fight, if I had walked away, because I said, what could you have done to resolve that peacefully? She said, I could have ignored her. I could have walked away. I could have reported her. All of these solutions now.
Optional solutions.
Yes.
Right, that she had.
Right. But the beauty of this is that she realizes
She realized
that she had some other alternatives
Yes.
instead of engaging into a fight, which got her kicked out of the mainstream of their school.
Of the school. And that was so profound to have her accept responsibility, but at the same time understand that she did have options as opposed to the one she selected.
Yes.
That the consequences ended up she was kicked out of school. And it is a difficult thing to be separated from the main body of a school. You feel isolated, you're ostracized, you get a negative reputation, so that all those consequences go with this discipline system that they have there for those students. And but these kids, it's hard to tell. We only have maybe one student that was obviously had issues, and was in the class. And he was the one, very intelligent young man. He was the one that kept asking, why haven't I been taught this?
Yes.
You ever asking that question? Why is this the first time I've ever heard about this kind of a class? And but he learned a great deal from us, and he was eventually sent back to the school. But I think there was some actually who wanted to stay longer.
Yes.
Wanted to go beyond their punishment.
I think one of the reasons.
Stay in the class.
Yes, Mr. Wright. I think one of the reasons, Ben, is that these students get a chance to verbalize. They get a chance to engage. They get a chance to speak from their heart. They get an opportunity to interact at a whole different level.
Yes.
It's not the traditional and the typical subject matter.
Yes.
It's a totally different subject matter, a subject matter that allows them to speak freely, speak from their heart, etc.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes. And that's a benefit because now they're able to share with one another their feelings.
yes,
And they feel open and they feel free to talk about these things that got them into this situation. And
Yes.
that's what we want them to focus on so they'll better appreciate their alternatives going forward and won't make the same mistakes that
Exactly.
they made to get here. Looks like we have a caller. Caller, you're on the air.
And yes, and good evening.
Yes,
And,
Steve. I was wondering where you're going to call us.
Well, sometimes it's best to just listen for a few. And using your ears sometimes could really make you think. But all what you've been saying this evening, it's a wonderful show.
Thank you.
But it's not meant for just only kids. You could take your whole life, a grown-up such as me, older people such as me, and you can learn. A lot of times we don't think, we react. And
That's it. You're
you
right.
didn't have to do that if you would have did this way. And sometimes you got to just say, why did I do that? And a lot of times I don't think people sit up and analyze things, what they do or say, because it causes so much of a domino effect all the way down.
It
All
does.
the way down. And then you want to know, why am I here when I could have did something? Seems like people only think about it when they are in deep trouble.
You're right.
But majority of times, everything, why did you blow your horn? Why did you holler? Why you did this? Why did you put on these shoes? Why? So, again, you got to think before you react. Think what you want to do. Lay it out. Listen, I think y'all are the best thing since candy. It's a shame that more people don't want to listen, but just show you there's many people don't care. I mean, we live in a society, people don't care, they don't think. Look at the mess what happened today. Same thing. People did not think or react. Somebody could tell you jump out the roof, and they jump. So again, you got to think before you do anything.
Yes.
But listen,
Very true.
a good show.
Thank you.
Please, if anybody listening, just call them
Call.
and say it's a good show.
Absolutely.
And
Thank
we
you.
will appreciate
Yes.
that. Let me get out there so I can
Thank
hear your
you.
response.
Thank you, Steve.
thank you.
Appreciate it and continue to call us. We look forward to it every week. Well, let me give that number out because I didn't give the number out in the beginning of the show. I'm saying it softly. But call us at 312-738-1060. It's right there at the bottom of the screen. Call us. We'd like to have your questions and your opinion, your commentary, and please do so. We have a few more minutes on the air. We look forward to your call. Now, back to this grand subject because Steve is actually very, very right on this.
Absolutely.
People's lives are destroyed by simple, stupid kinds of things they do without
Yes.
thinking.
Without thinking.
And it affects their family for years and years.
Yes.
And it's something that if they had thought about it before they did it, they would have said, I could have saved myself so
Yes.
much pain and aggravation. And my family. But we are so based on impulse. We want to just do it because we can without really giving it the kind of consideration that it should be given. And so thanks, Steve, for that wonderful advice that you gave regarding it doesn't have to be young. You can be old as us and still be kind of impulsive and do things without giving it the proper consideration of its ramifications.
Yes.
That is there for all of us to consider before we do something. But moving on real quickly because we're actually running down to the very last few minutes of the show. I'm going to give this up here real quick, and it involves what we just finished talking about regarding rules. And I'll go ahead and read this first part. We live in a rule-based society. a rules-based universe. And then, of course, on the other side says rules governing the penalties and legal consequences. Because there are legal consequences, and our young people do need to understand it. Would you read the first one there?
Yes, we live in a society governed by rules.
Why did we create rules governing behavior? Okay.
What are the benefits to me for adhering to the rules?
Name 5 benefits for obeying the rules. So you can kind of see where we're going with that whole logic, that whole line of questions that we have on that particular sheet of paper there for our students, because we want them to understand the need for rules. We live in a chaotic, uncivilized society if we didn't have rules. We wouldn't be able to organize this kind of government, the kind of society we have today if we didn't have rules.
Absolutely.
And that's what we want them to understand. But we're getting down, of course, on there were consequences. Let me throw it up there. Consequences. What are those consequences? Should I concern myself about the consequences when I disobey a rule?
When I violate a rule, should I be concerned about the consequences?
Are we living in a society that encourages you to disrespect the rules? Yes or no? Okay? So that gives you a sense of where we're going with the lesson plan for these young people, and they are enjoying it immensely. So we are doing some great work. And our mission, and of course Ms. Selmon's mission as an etiquette maven, is to reduce the kinds of issues that are affecting us individually and affecting society as a whole.
Yes.
If we can reduce these kinds of incidents, then we're going to have a healthier, more wholesome, a more positive society for these young people to grow up in and be a part of. So this is what our goal and our mission is. But we're out of time. Isn't that so regrettable? Well, I'm going to put up our information so that if you would like to contact us, certainly do so. And here we are. Let's Talk Etiquette. And our phone number is 312-473-2942. I'll give it to you again, 312-473-2942. And you can contact us at info@efoi.org. We look to hear from you, of course. But I would like to give this great maven the last word for the show. What would you like to send out to this wonderful audience of ours?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure to co-host the Let's Talk Etiquette program.
Yes.
I thank Steve for calling in,
Yes.
and I hope the audience received some information that's beneficial and that you can carry on and invite your students or invite your youth to engage in a conversation with you regarding etiquette education, rules, consequences, and all of the good stuff we just talked about.
Right. So, with that said, I'd like to say good evening to you. Stay tuned to next Wednesday. We will return, I assure you. And the lesson that we're going to pass on to you is going to be impactful and very powerful. And please use it. Use it in your life and in your family. And I guarantee you will have a much better opportunity to do the great things that you are capable of doing. With that, thank you very much and have a great evening.